You guys see it on the screen. That's the tweet from Terence Bud Crawford at Errol Spence Jr. on Twitter. I'm ready when you want to spend. He's going to spend the block. Just giving you a heads up is all. Terence Bud Crawford, 10 plus days removed from his last bout, tells Errol Spence Jr. he's ready to spend the block. I wonder how much it costs. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. In this video, we talk about Crawford's tweet to Errol, Errol's response to questions when he's asked about an upcoming bout with Terence Bud Crawford. Let's get into it. First things first, welcome back to the channel, y'all. This is your boy JG. This is the Punch Report. Please be so kind, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified when the latest and greatest videos, boxing content drops. Now, I want to put the tweet back on the screen here. It's by your man's Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford, and he reads at Errol Spence Jr. I'm ready when you want to spin the block. Spend. Just giving you a heads up is all. Now, I want to shout out to Terence Crawford for his version of calling out Errol Spence Jr. via the internet. I want to know what you guys think. Whether I stand in the ring, I'll let Errol Spence Jr. and say, you guys know what I want. You know, I want Terence Crawford, and I'm going to come take his shit too, right? So you say that. Shout out to my man Jim Gray. You say that at the end of the fight. Does that weigh more than me putting it on Twitter? I'm going to lean towards yes. Twitter is for anybody, but it takes a lot to stand in the squared circle. But I digress. So I want to send another special. I said spin. Shout out to Bud Crawford. He's spending the block. I want to send another special shout out to ESPN, though. I want to show you another version of this tweet. Here it is right here. You see my man EJ with the belts. They have the tweet below, but ESPN is taking the time to correct the tweet. At Errol Spence Jr., I am ready when you want to spin. They've corrected the spin, not spend, the block. Just giving y'all a heads up. And then my third and final tweet for this particular video that I want to share with you guys is a tweet. It's from Michael Benson, you know, famed. I don't know if you want to use famed, but boxing reporter extraordinaire. He is in the know 67% of the time, but he has a quote that he put out via Twitter. This is from Ellie Setback. Shout out to him and his team. But when Errol Spence was asked about a potential fight coming up with Terence Bud Crawford, and I quote, I don't know. I just got an accident. I'm focused on that right now. I'm not looking like it. It's not looking like that fight's going to happen next. Hopefully it can happen next year. So hopefully next year meaning 2023, but not his next bout. Right now, a lot of rumors swirling about Errol Spence Jr. I'm willing to comfortably rest on Keith One-Time Thurman as his next bout. If you look at his timeline, he said May, June, July. This is based on the motor vehicle accident. Who knows what Crawford has planned? If they were going to end up fighting, renegotiating the bout, which I don't think is going to happen, this will be the time to do it because it sets you up for that May, June, July time period. Going back to my previous statement, why do I feel as though it's not going to happen? It's the inconsistencies and the inexperience of Bud Crawford that leads me to believe that this is just not something that can get done unless PBC, Showtime, Steven Espinosa, Al Heyman, Errol Spence Jr. are more than willing to deal with a level of foolishness and bending to the will of an individual who doesn't even understand the things in which he's asking for. I say that because we know, by and large, there's estimates around the numbers surrounding the BLK pay-per-view event that took place almost two Saturdays ago, where Terence Bud Crawford brutally knocked out David Avanesian after his gloves exploded, and Everlast said they were faulty. But his earning potential, essentially what I'm alluding to, has been hurt. So I did this video, already put it out. Bud Crawford has put himself in a position where he can't sell by himself. That's not news. His last venture flopped. And then you have Errol Spence Jr. on the other side, who's trying to figure out what's going to happen next. In this negotiation, no leverage or ground has been gained from a perspective of a Bud Crawford. We know this, but I've kind of gotten into the weeds a little bit about why I don't think it's going to happen. I'll shorten this shit up for you. Bad business dealings, the BOK Prime, PBC Showtime double cross by Bud Crawford, and then the fact that his stock, when he re-engages with the negotiation table with PBC and Showtime and Errol Spence and his team, has dropped. He did not do numbers. He did not represent well for himself in a pay-per-view environment. So when he comes back to the table, it's likely the positioning of a, that side, the Espinosa side, PBC side, is much different. Quite honestly, it's going to work out better for Bud Crawford because they'll be able to give him a guarantee, but the guarantee will be for like $3.5 million, $2 million, and you get like 10% of pay-per-views because you don't sell. We know you care about guarantees, and this is what it's going to be. But the tweets are interesting. There have been a lot of conversations surrounding the fact that Bud Crawford didn't call out Errol Spence at the end of the Avanesian fight. And it was vague. Then he gets on the internet and then has something to say. I don't know. I don't give a shit about that per se. I just think that largely Bud Crawford's been wildly inconsistent. His words meant next to nothing. He has so many people on his team talking and putting information on the internet. It's hard for him to keep inventory about what has been said and what hasn't been said. So the whole thing looks crazy. The accident does complicate things, admittedly, but I don't think we were going to get Bud Crawford and Errol Spence next. If it wasn't going to be the date back in November, which we clearly missed, sooner than later, I think, gave this fight the best opportunity. The later it plays out into next year, the less likely I see it happening. Furthermore, the older Bud Crawford gets, and the more time goes by, especially dealing with a younger combatant, a bigger combatant, a more, he's a physical freak. I mean, shout out to Bud Crawford. He's no slouch. He's a G. But Errol Spence is more in this capacity. As time goes by, that does not favor a guy like Terence Bud Crawford. He's a fighter that relies heavily on athleticism and reflexes. Even though he does have a high IQ, he likes to mix it up. It gets him in trouble. Against Errol Spence, I believe it would spell disaster. I wanted to see this fight sooner than later. Obviously, we're not getting that opportunity, but it is what it is. Bud Crawford seemingly has a lot to say now via Twitter. Errol Spence Jr., you gotta appreciate it because he's keeping it consistent. Bud Crawford. Ugas fight comes, he makes it very clear what he wants. I want to become undisputed. He made it clear before. I want to gather these belts, then challenge for undisputed. He's been consistent. I think he had another interview that he gave to Fight Hype just after the Ugas fight where he stated, hey, look, listen, if the fight doesn't go down with Bud and I, it's not going to be my fault, and I promise you that. And I think that's what we've seen played out. As more information leaks out for Bud Crawford, the worse it kind of gets for your reasoning for leaving. And I agree with Errol Spence and his sentiment that he offered on the telecast for Showtime on the Frank Martin, Michelle Rivera card. He said, hey, look, listen, if an individual is on the up and up, hey, look, listen, I definitely want to get this fight popping, but I got this quick bag I can make. It's cake. It's 10 mil. I'm going to knock out a sparring partner, and then we can do whatever. It gives Errol Spence an opportunity to sew up the back half of his 2022. Move into 2023. He's coming off a victory, hopefully. Bud Crawford just came off the victory if things played out the way that they played out against David Avanesian, and the fight has more buzz and more hype. But now it's time wasted, sour fans, and Bud Crawford further hurting his marketability and his overall market value when it comes to the sport of boxing from a business perspective. He can fight. No one's arguing that. He's one of the best out there. So for the Bud fans, I got your boy. From a business perspective, my man is in remedial. So he's struggling a bit. But let me know what you guys think. This is your boy JG. This has been the Punch Report. Please be so kind. Like, subscribe, hit that bell icon for notification. Shout out to ESPN for cleaning it up. ESPN was Grammarly hooked on phonics for Bud Crawford in his tweet. They just fixed it for him. So shout out to them. We out.